Do I have something good in store for you today? Hi, I'm Judy Waters. Welcome to my channel. Here I bring you author interviews of ordinary people who had a story they needed to share with the world. I also bring you short little writing prompts to get your juices going in your own brain so that you can get your stories written down for your generations to come. Because you know what? You have a story to tell. So let me help you tell it. So today I am bringing you a newfound friend, Crystal Daye. She is actually from Jamaica, and we will be talking with her in a few minutes, but I wanted to introduce her. She is a dynamic kingdom entrepreneur, award-winning author of 9 books, sought after inspirational speaker, a certified Christian life coach, and a sold-out Jesus girl. Growing up in poverty and being told she will never be successful, Crystal became resolute to not settle for mediocrity, but instead she uses her story to impact lives globally. Today she is a COO of Daylight Publishers, host of the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast, and founder of Empowering Girls Club. Crystal's practical anecdotes, vibrant personality, real-life stories, and biblical insight keeps her in constant demand as a speaker and mentor. She enjoys traveling, reading, cooking, and spending time with her beautiful daughter, Christelle. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Crystal Daye. Good morning, Crystal. How are you?
I am doing so good, Judy. Thank you so much for having me on your channel. I'm excited about this conversation.
Good. I am too. And you're actually sitting in Jamaica, aren't you?
I am, and that's the power of the globalization and
Yes.
the internet, right?
Yes.
We can connect from all over the world. So it means that your audience is actually growing also, because now you are in Jamaica, right?
Yes. We'll have a lot of Jamaicans on my YouTube channel. That's awesome. Well, good. I've already introduced you to my audience, and now I would like you to just tell us a little bit more about yourself and about your books. So when did you start writing, and what do you think inspired you to start writing?
Okay, so again, thank you for having me. When I think about when did I start writing, I am going to be honest. I've been writing from I was a child, as long as I can remember. I felt like writing was an outlet that I used to express myself, especially as a young girl growing up as a teenager. I remember just I have tons of journals or diaries from that time. I remember about 9 years old, my mom gave me a journal because I didn't express myself very well. So writing allowed me to do that. Fast forward, when did I become a professional writer? I think in 2014, I believe it's about 2014. After I gave my life to the Lord, I was seeking him on purpose. And one of the things I discovered is that what are the things that you're passionate about? And when I wrote it down, mentoring, writing, speaking, and teaching were the top ones. And I was like, Lord, how can I write, as a thing of purpose? And I got introduced to blogging. So I started blogging. I also have a very active social media ministry. So I do post a lot. I was writing every single day, encouragement quotes, devotionals. So I would say 2014, I started to put it out there so others can see. But in terms of writing overall, I've been doing that as young as about 9 from I can remember.
Awesome. So what encouraged you to write living a royal reality?
Yes.
Living a royal reality is your main memoir. So
Yes.
what encouraged you to write that book?
Okay, so I realized I didn't answer. You asked me tell me a little bit about you. So as you mentioned, I am from Kingston, Jamaica. I do travel a lot back and forth to the US. I like the Caribbean islands. I've been to a few of the Caribbean islands also. Still waiting on my debut to Canada and the UK soon because I really do enjoy traveling. Also, I'm a publisher. I am, a speaker. I go out and speak a lot, and a coach. So these are some of the things that I do. Now, living around reality, again, I might refer to my faith a lot, and it's not to insult anyone or anything, but what I can say is that my faith has been an integral part of my transition to becoming who I am. So when I was younger, I grew up, as I mentioned, growing up in Kingston, Jamaica. I was from a very poor family. Financially, I say we were very poor and we struggled financially. My parents, my dad had his own little business, making furniture. My mom was a security guard. She had four of us, and now five because she got married, and I have a little younger sister. So financially, it was very hard. But one of the things I remember from a young age, my father used to tell me education is the way out. So we went to bed a lot of nights hungry. We didn't have a lot of clothes, things like that. So from a young age, I was very ambitious. I was a go-getter. I excelled in school. I did very well. One of the things though is that while I was trying to climb the corporate ladder, I had this dream of becoming a politician. I wanted to get into politics because I love people and I love to serve. And for me, I thought that was the best way that I can impact people. I just knew from a young age that I was called to make an impact. Now, growing up, one of the things that happen is that in the culture here at Jamaica, we have, and it sounds away, but it is the truth, we have a lot of, it's a sex saturated culture. So I didn't know that sex before marriage was even something. I didn't grow up in church. I didn't know about these things. So from a young age, our culture tell us that we should fornicate, and I was very promiscuous, and just these little things that while I was growing, I was building my professional career, I feel like soul wise, I was dying, and I wasn't the best that I could be, even though I looked like I was okay. And then I had an encounter with Jesus Christ. And this encounter, for me, started to change my life, because now I started to see and ask myself, what is it that God has called me to do? So fast forward, writing, living around reality, it literally is a memoir that was dedicated to sharing how I discovered my purpose, worth, and identity in Christ. And how I write my memoir is not just, oh, it's about Crystal, it's about Crystal. I write it from a place of, okay, this is my story, but these are the practical steps that you can take to discover your identity. So since 2016, that book has been out. And I mean, I've had many women just message me from all over the world to say, hey, because of your book, I now see myself differently. Because of your book, I was able to walk away from a relationship that was abusive. Because of your book, I was able to walk into the freedom of Christ, and now I'm living a purpose-driven life. And that for me has been the most fulfilling part of writing and becoming an author.
Awesome. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Oh, what a story. That's pretty neat. So, how long did it take you to write that book?
In 2015, I hosted a conference, She's Royal Conference at a ministry. And I was praying to the Lord about the message that I should give. And he gave me the term living a royal reality. And I started writing down from 2015 the outline of the book, but I wasn't sure again, so I would say overall it probably took me about 4 months to sit down and write it out. I think the hardest part was the sharing of my story, because there were parts in my story that people didn't know about me. You understand? So doing an abortion at 16, being molested at age 9, these were things that nobody knew. And now I'm putting that out there, and I had to have a conversation with my parents even before, because they didn't know these things. So I think that was the hardest part. But overall, it probably took about 4 to 5 months to get everything written.
Okay.
Since then, though, most of my other books I probably take like 2-3 weeks. But I think the first one is always the hardest.
Yes. Yes. So who's your audience for living a royal reality?
So I think most of my books are dedicated to similar audience, the same audience, which is women of faith. Now, I say women of faith and not necessarily Christian women, because a woman can be a woman of faith and not yet decide to walk in Christ. And a lot of times she's on that journey that, oh, I know God exists and I believe in God, but I just not quite sure if I'm ready yet. So my books overall, including Living a Royal Reality, are dedicated to women of faith of all ages. So I do write books for teens, and you will see my teen devotional. I do have a Living a Royal Reality teen edition also. So 11 teen girls, they wrote their story about discovering their purpose and worth and what living a royal reality looked like for them too. So my overall theme is always intimacy with God, identity in Christ, and impact lives.
Wow. Okay. All right. How did it feel to write that first story out and then to read it back to yourself? How did that feel?
Scary. Very scary, but also very therapeutic, because no, for me, the scripture John 8:38 that says, who the Son sets free is free indeed. And I realize that a lot of us as women walk in condemnation and shame and embarrassment based on something that whether we have done or have been done to us. You understand? So for me, finally writing it was me just being honest and just being real, to give other women permission too, that there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Solomon says there's nothing new under the sun. And when we have the courage to share our story, we're actually empowering not just ourselves, but we are empowering each other. And that is powerful.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Very good. So tell us about your other books. You have several other books out there on Amazon. Tell us about those.
So I am at 9 books right now. To God be the glory. I tell people I went in the pandemic with 4 books and came out with 9. So the pandemic was very fruitful for me to get some time to write. But my main books, Living a Royal Reality, the first one, as I said, the memoir where I share that is story I wrote, Empowered for Such a Time as This. I think that was 2017, and that was just kind of challenging women to recognize that, hey, I can walk in faith and go after my gifts. I also have Draw Closer to God. These are 31-day devotional for women and teen. I do have the Sell More Books, Impact More Lives. So as I mentioned, I am a publisher. So since I started my publishing business full-time in 2017, January 2017, and since then up to now, I've published over 150 authors. So God has been very good for me to help others to birth their books. So I wrote the Sell More Books, Impact More Lives, because a lot of especially Christians, we struggle to sell the books. So we sit and write it, but that part of selling, so that's a handbook. I also have become a Christian life coach. When I was doing my research of becoming a coach, there was not many literature on that, so I decided to write my own, because I always say if there's a book that you don't see out there, you must write it yourself. So I did that, and then my newest book, Dear Insecurity, a woman's guide to release self-doubt and walk in her God-given gifts. That has been amazing also. And I'm releasing my new book later this year, Blessed, Booked and Boundless. So that is it.
You're a busy lady, because besides being an author, you're a speaker, a life coach, a publisher of other books. You said 150 different authors you've worked with. That's a lot.
Yeah. Yes, God. Yeah, I do enjoy, to be honest, just doing things for the kingdom. I do enjoy serving others. I get life from helping other people to birth their dreams. So yes, I do keep, and I'm single. I'm a single mother now. So I do have time on my hands until the Lord send me a husband.
That's good. That's good. So what now? Another book? More speaking engagements? What's next?
So at this for 2022, as we're listening, I am actually trying to do some book tours. I did a book signing in Florida recently. So I'm looking to do another book signing in New York and probably some Atlanta, hopefully. Let's see how 2022 goes. As I mentioned, my new book, Blessed, Booked and Boundless, and that's more for women of faith that wants to get into the entrepreneurial space. that will be released later this year. It's already written. I just kind of buying the time. I continue to help people to publish books, so that's the main thing that I do. But to be honest, I want to tap more into my speaking calling this year,
Okay.
especially in the US. Going into different churches, organization in the US, to not just talk about faith, but also talk about the branding. I love to talk about branding. I love to talk about digital marketing, anything like that. So I'm a teacher at heart. So I'm praying that I'll be very busy this year to speak a little bit more.
Okay. Well, good, good. So, Crystal, my audience is basically people who are kind of tipping their toes into the water of writing a memoir for their generations to come. So what advice would you give to first-time authors?
I love, like, this is one of my favorite questions, right? Because I'm gonna say, grab your pen, and the nuggets that I'm going to drop to you right now, you're gonna need them. I'm giving you just three
Great.
things I want to say when you're about to write your book, or especially if you're writing your memoir. One, find a common theme. What is the theme around the book, right? And ensure that when you're thinking about the theme, again, I would try to stick to one main theme. So, for example, living in rural reality, the main theme is identity, you know. So while I talk about purpose and worth, one of the major things I want to get out is that who you are actually can impact all the things that you will accomplish. You understand? So get a main theme from the book. The second thing is to ensure that your book solves a problem. And this would require some research, right? So even though you're writing the story, your story, remember, it is not about you. The story is not for you, right? So your story is to be a blessing to others. In Mark 5, it says, let your light shine so that others may see you. So your story blesses others. So I want you to get into the frame of mind and, okay, what problem will this book solve? What is it that I want to see? What is it they're searching for? Is a theme of your story forgiveness? Okay, why are people struggling with forgiveness? And then through your story, you're helping them to be more forgiving. You get it? You're with me, right, Judy?
Yes, I've written it
Yes.
down here.
And the final one is, I would say, that is very, very big, is to start building an author platform. And I was a bit because I wanted to say, know your ideal reader first, because that is so important. But I'm gonna take my third one to say building a platform, because truly books don't sell themselves.
Right.
And I do believe that a lot of great books are not being sold because people are afraid to put themselves out there. Especially what you find, especially women do that a lot. We have these insecurities that, who is going to read my story? Is my story good enough? And it's weird because I publish men, and my male clients, they just put themselves out and, you buy my book. But what I find is that women struggle a little bit more with their insecurities. So I would say, listen, your story is needed, right? We don't just read one book in our lives. We read many books on various topics.
Right.
So there is a need for your story, but I want you to be deliberate about building a platform so that people are able to walk and receive what you have to say.
Yeah, that is so true, because 9 times out of 10, it's a lot easier to write a book than it is to market a book, and putting yourself out there in front of everybody, and not always saying, buy my book, but doing it in a voice where your book is going to help other people, and you want them to realize that. So building that platform, though, is very important. Really is.
And I want to interject here to mention that, you see, that number 2 of solving a problem, if you start to see your book as a problem solver, you struggle a little bit less with marketing, because now somebody says, hey, I'm struggling with, and let's give the example of my weight, right? So you have been struggling with your weight. You wrote a memoir about how you finally lost that weight, and you see somebody struggling with that. Your book is a solution. It's not just about buying my book. Actually, you need this so that you can actually walk out on your potential and do the answer to the problem that you desire. So your book is a problem solver.
Yeah. Very good. You bring so much energy with you, Crystal.
Yeah, I try to stay to things that I'm passionate about. And because I'm passionate about something, it makes not just my life easier, but it makes other people feel gets passionate also.
Yes, yes, so true. Well, I give out a lot of writing prompts on my channel to encourage others to write their stories, get those stories written down for their generations to come. So, and we're at the end of our video and of our time here, Crystal. So, what writing prompt would you leave for my audience?
Okay, so guys, everybody that's listening, remember I just gave you 3 tips. So I want you to, that is a part of your writing top prompts, right? What is your main message? What is the problem that your book is solving, and how are you going to build a platform? So that's just 3 prompts already. But specifically for your memoir, this is what I want you to ask yourself. You ready?
Ready.
So I want you to ask yourself, if I was supposed to write a book about my story, what would the title of that book be? Simple.
Wow.
And then at the end, I want you to write why. And don't let the why be too long, just probably like 5 lines to get straight to the point. And, Judy, I thought about this prompt because a lot of my authors, they come and I want to write a story and, I don't know what to name it. And I'm like, just pause. Because the answer is already in you. That's a part of being a coach, the answer is already in them.
Yeah.
So just ask the questions that they don't want to ask. They're afraid to answer. What is it that you will name this book?
Yeah.
About your life story? And whatever comes to your mind, it's normally some version of that. It might not be the perfected version, but it is normally some version of that.
Wow, I love that. I really do, because a lot of times people will write the book and then they have a problem, struggling with that title, but to have that title first, that's a great idea. Very good. Well, thank you so much, Crystal. This has been fun talking with you. I thank you so much.
Judy, it is truly my pleasure to be here. I'm so excited to meet you. I love the work that you are doing, and I pray that we will stay connected. And I'm, just looking forward to seeing the amazing things that you're doing. So thank you again for having me.
Thank you, Crystal. I really liked that prompt that Crystal gave us at the end of the interview. If we have our title ready for our book, we've thought through it carefully, then it gives us that much more of a focus for writing the book and for the purpose that you have for your readers, what you want your readers to get out of their read. So, Crystal has given us some food for thought there. And I hope you've enjoyed getting to know Crystal. Her books are delightful. And I'll have all of that contact information in my show notes below, as well as a link to her wonderful website page. You may be involved with a women's organization where you are in need of speakers. Crystal can do that for you. She is a delightful speaker, very dynamic, very inspiring. If you enjoy receiving author videos like this, as well as writing prompts, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Click that little bell there so that you're notified every time I bring out another video like this. So until next time, I'm Judy Shearwaters. You have a story to tell. Let me help you tell it.